I stand in my parents' Virginia dining room, my Columbia law degree heavy in my left hand. The certificate feels less like a triumph and more like lead, not the golden ticket to their approval I once imagined. My right hand drifts to the gentle curve beneath my silk dress. 5 months of secret joy and fear bound together. My father's face twists as his eyes drop to my stomach. In 27 years, I've never seen William Ellis look at me with such raw disgust. "You're a disgrace," he says, each word precise and cutting. "Get out." Mother's manicured nails dig into the back of her dining chair. "You made your bed, Amanda. Now lie in it." Her voice holds no trace of warmth. I swallow hard. The homecoming dinner meant to celebrate my graduation with honors has turned into my exile ceremony in less than 5 minutes. If you just let me explain about Ethan, there's nothing to explain. Father cuts me off, straightening his tie as if my presence has somehow disarranged it. "Do you have any idea what this will do to our reputation? What people will say?" "We've given you everything," Mother adds, her tone trembling not with emotion but with carefully managed outrage. "The best schools, every opportunity other girls only dream about, and this is how you repay us?" I try again. "Ethan and I are engaged. The baby. Pastor Thompson just asked me to chair the Family Values Committee." Father interrupts, color rising in his neck. "Can you imagine if he finds out my own daughter was—" He can't even finish the sentence. Mother's gaze flicks toward the window as if the neighbors might already be watching. "The garden club is meeting here next week. What am I supposed to tell Elizabeth Gardner or Susan Matthews from church?" Their words blur together, and I realize they haven't asked a single thing about Ethan or how I feel. All they see is a stain on their carefully curated image. "You are not welcome in this house while carrying that mistake," Father says, pointing to my belly. His words unlock an old memory. My 15th birthday. I'd been offered an art scholarship for a summer program in New York. When I showed him the acceptance letter, his smile never reached his eyes. "Art is a hobby, Amanda, not a career. And Ellis puts family reputation first. I've already enrolled you in the business leadership camp." I remember nodding, swallowing my disappointment, quietly tucking away my sketches. It wasn't the first time I'd given up something I loved for his approval, and it wouldn't be the last. College boyfriends never made it home for the holidays. They're not quite what we had in mind, I'd say, never admitting I was afraid of his judgment. Even Ethan, Harvard-educated and from a good family, remained my secret for 5 years. Every decision, every success weighed against William Ellis's impossible standards. And still, I never quite measured up. My hands shake now, but my voice holds steady. They never even asked who the father was. I whispered to myself, if they had, maybe things would have been different. Father glances at his watch, signaling my time is over. Mother adjusts silverware that doesn't need adjusting. "I'll get my things," I say quietly, heading upstairs. I pack a suitcase with mechanical precision. Through the floorboards, I hear the soft clink of silverware as my parents continue their dinner without pause. 5 minutes to erase 27 years of daughterhood from the hallway wall. Family photos stare back at me. Ellis family at the country club. Ellis family at father's firm party. Ellis family at mother's charity gala. Every photo immaculate. Perfect clothes. Perfect smiles. Not one showing who we really are. My fingers trace over a photo from my law school acceptance. Father's hand rests on my shoulder. To strangers, he looks proud. But I remember how his fingers dug in, his voice low. "Don't waste this opportunity like you almost did with that art nonsense." Downstairs, Mother doesn't lift her eyes from her roast chicken. Father's newspaper stands between us like a wall. I place my framed law degree on the dining table, one last offering to their altar of appearances. "Goodbye," I say, though I might as well be speaking to the walls. I step onto the porch. The door closes behind me, not with a slam, but with a quiet click of exclusion. I press my hand to my belly, feeling a faint flutter beneath my palm. "It's just us now," I whisper, pulling my phone from my purse to call Ethan, for the first time in my life. I've disappointed my parents in a way no achievement or apology could ever fix. And yet, beneath the hurt, something else stirs, relief. As if I've been holding my breath for 27 years and can finally exhale. Later that night, The hotel sheets scrape like sandpaper against my skin as I clutch my phone, tears blurring Ethan's name on the screen. My fingers tremble as I press call, each ring echoing my heartbeat. Amanda, what happened? Ethan's voice wraps around me like a blanket. They threw me out, I whisper, still stunned. They didn't even ask who the father was. I don't care about them. I'm coming to get you right now. No, I just need... My phone buzzes with a notification. Hold on. I switch to speaker and open Facebook. At the top of my feed, Mother's post gleams. Please keep our Amanda in your prayers. Sometimes the brightest minds struggle with the heaviest burdens. We're devastated by her breakdown, but trust God's plan for healing. The room tilts. Ethan. They're telling everyone I've had a breakdown before. Before he can respond, my phone buzzes again. Aunt Martha's voicemail plays. Amanda, honey, your parents are heartbroken over your choices. They've loved you so completely. How could you do this to them? Pastor Thompson's already arranging your intervention. Call them, sweetie. Make this right. I slide to the floor, clutching my phone to my chest. They're rewriting everything, I tell Ethan, my voice hollow. They're crafting a story where I'm unstable, not pregnant and engaged. There's more, he says tightly. Dad just got a call from someone at Wellington and Pierce. Your father contacted the senior partners, said there were concerns about your stability. Family concerns? The air rushes out of me. William Ellis, a man who spent 3 decades building his name in Virginia's business circles, is now using those same connections to ruin my future before it even begins. He's trying to make me desperate, I say, surprised by how calm I sound. If I can't work, I'll need their money. Mother's applying social pressure, and he's pulling financial strings. Amanda, listen, Ethan says. We're not playing their game. My father wants to speak with you, he adds, and I hear the rustle of the phone before Charles Caldwell's deep, steady voice comes through. Amanda, you're family now, understand? We protect our own. Something shifts inside me, like tectonic plates finally settling. I wipe the tears from my cheeks. This isn't about shame, I tell him, clarity cutting through the fog. It's about control. Precisely, Charles replies. Now, I've already sent a car for you. Pack your things. I couldn't impose nonsense. Grace is preparing the East Suite right now. Madison's been bouncing off the walls to see you, and our family lawyer will contact your firm first thing tomorrow. Grace is our grace. I hang up and call Ethan back. My mind races, mapping outcomes, measuring risks, thinking like the lawyer I've trained to be. I'll accept your father's help. You don't sound like you've been crying anymore, Ethan notes. I haven't, I say. Something changed when I heard his voice. Like I finally saw the whole chessboard instead of just one piece. 2 hours later, the Caldwell family driver helps me with my single suitcase. We pass through wrought iron gates and follow a winding drive framed by ancient oaks. The Georgian mansion comes into view. 14 bedrooms, stately columns, and golden light spilling from every window. On the wide front steps stands Charles Caldwell, silver-haired and straight-backed. He opens my door himself, waving off the driver. Welcome home, sweetheart, he says, helping me out with a gentleness my own father never showed. Grace appears in the doorway, her expression soft with genuine concern. The suite is ready whenever you'd like to rest. There's no rush. Madison darts past her mother, flinging her arms around me. I'm going to be an aunt. This is the best news ever. Their warmth washes over me. Each kind word, each gentle touch. A welcome so different from the cold rejection I faced only hours ago. Yet beneath the gratitude, a hollow ache spreads. These people are practically strangers, and still they offer what my own family never could: unconditional acceptance. In the grand foyer, Ethan waits with his hands clasped behind his back. As I approach, he drops to one knee, revealing an emerald ring set in antique gold. It was my grandmother's, he says softly. Dad had it resized for you last month when I told him our plans. The ring slips perfectly onto my finger. A quiet confirmation that the Caldwells were preparing to embrace me, even as my own parents prepared to disown me. Later, in the guest suite, larger than my childhood bedroom, I stand at the window, gazing out over manicured gardens bathed in moonlight. The victory feels hollow. I found a home, yes, but with strangers, not with those who raised me. My phone buzzes. Another one of Mother's public declarations. William and I thank you all for your support during this difficult time. Family is everything. We pray Amanda returns to us soon. I switch the phone off, placing one hand over my belly and the other on the emerald ring. We have a family, I whisper to the child growing inside me. Just not the one I expected. When morning comes, sunlight filters through unfamiliar curtains. For a moment, I forget where I am, until my hand finds the gentle curve of my stomach. 3 days at the Caldwell estate, and still, part of me expects to wake up in my old room. Instead, I'm surrounded by soft blues and creams, Grace's thoughtful touch in every detail. My phone buzzes again. Another message from Mother. We're praying for your return to reason. The pastor spoke about wayward children yesterday. Everyone's concerned. I set it aside without replying. Downstairs, the scent of coffee and cinnamon draws me to the kitchen, where Grace stands at the wide marble island, her silver hair glowing in the morning light. There she is, Grace says, sliding a plate of cinnamon toast toward me. Sleep well, dear? Before I can answer, my phone lights up. Another call from Father. The fourth one this morning. I silence it, but not fast enough. Grace notices. They've found out where you are, I explain, the toast suddenly turning dry in my mouth. Grace reaches across the table and covers my hand with hers. Let them know this isn't something to be ashamed of, she says, eyes so much like Ethan's, crinkling at the corners. You're carrying our grandchild. That's something to be proud of. Her calm certainty pierces through the walls I've spent years building. They're telling everyone I had a breakdown, I admit. Mother called the garden club yesterday, made a whole scene about losing her daughter, and someone's been calling the firm anonymously. Concerns about my character. Grace's expression hardens. William always did prefer manipulation over honest conversation. I blink. You know my father? Charles and William have crossed paths for years, she says, refilling my tea. Our companies occasionally overlap. Your father threatened one of our project managers yesterday, told him his job would be at risk if he didn't share your new address. The familiar knot tightens in my stomach. But this time something else rises with it. Anger. Sharp. Clarifying. I need to document everything, I mutter, my lawyer instincts kicking in through the fog of emotion. Every call, every text, every attempt to interfere with my work. Grace nods, approval softening her tone. Smart girl. Protect yourself first. Later that morning, I sit cross-legged on the window seat, laptop balanced on my knees. A detailed timeline begins to form. Each manipulative message, every missed call, every report from Charles about Father's interference. Dates, times, potential witnesses, all neatly logged. 5 years of law school. And finally, I'm using it for something more than trying to make William Ellis proud. Charles finds me there when he returns early from the office. Amanda, he says gently, knocking on the doorframe. We have company. The hollow feeling in my stomach tells me who it is before I even hear the footsteps in the grand foyer. My parents stand before me like foreign dignitaries on hostile ground. Mother's cream suit doesn't show a single wrinkle. Father's posture is as rigid and dismissive as ever. Their eyes drift over the soaring ceilings, the hand-carved staircase, the rows of Caldwell portraits, assessing, calculating. Mother steps forward first, arms outstretched as if reaching for an embrace she knows won't come. We've been so worried. Father skips the pleasantries. What exactly do you think you're doing here? His voice still carries that same commanding edge that used to send me scrambling for approval. William Charles Caldwell's tone lacks Father's sharpness, but there's a quiet authority in it that draws every gaze in the room. Elizabeth, he says evenly, I wasn't aware we'd scheduled a meeting today. Father's jaw tightens. This is a family matter, Charles. Indeed it is, Charles replies, stepping to my side. Grace moves to my other, her shoulder brushing mine. Which is precisely why we're involved, he adds. You've turned our daughter against us, Mother accuses, her voice perfectly tuned to sound like maternal concern. My own voice is steady when I answer. You rejected me. They welcomed me. Father's eyes narrow. This rebellious phase has gone on long enough. You're coming home, where we can discuss this privately. There's nothing to discuss, I reply. You made your position clear when you threw me out. We were shocked, Mother protests, her gaze flicking toward Charles and Grace as if appealing to them. You can't expect parents to absorb such news without reaction. Grace, you didn't even ask who the father was. I was 5 months pregnant, I remind her, and you never once asked about the baby's father. For a moment, uncertainty flickers across her face, but father pushes forward. And now we find you've entangled yourself with the Caldwells. How convenient, Charles steps ahead, his voice firm. Amanda is under our protection now, William. As our future daughter-in-law and the mother of our grandchild, she has our full support. Father's confidence falters for the first time. Future daughter-in-law? Yes, Ethan says, appearing in the doorway. He crosses the room, his hand finding mine. We're getting married. It's something I would have told you, had you given Amanda the chance to explain. Mother's flawless composure cracks, just slightly. Ethan Caldwell. But you never mentioned, would it have mattered? I ask. Would knowing the name Caldwell have changed your reaction? The silence that follows speaks louder than any answer could. Father recovers quickly, shifting tactics. Charles, let's discuss this reasonably. Our companies share mutual interests that could be affected by this situation. Charles's polite smile never reaches his eyes. Your business ties with Caldwell Energy remain intact, William, but your interference in my family affairs is not welcome. I watch as Father's practiced mask slips, exposing the calculation beneath. For the first time, I see him not as the unshakable patriarch whose approval I've chased for 27 years, but as a man whose power exists only when others grant it. Mother senses the shift, too. Her eyes flick between Charles and Father, suddenly unsure which man truly holds power in this room. Perhaps we've approached this incorrectly, she offers, her tone softening. We only want what's best for Amanda. No, I say quietly. You want what's best for your reputation. I rest a protective hand over my belly. I'm building a real family now. That evening, after they leave, Madison throws together an impromptu engagement celebration in the Caldwell garden. Fairy lights twinkle through the old oak branches, and the summer air hums with jasmine and possibility. The first day of the rest of your life, Madison whispers, adjusting the simple floral crown she insisted I wear. Grace presents me with a stack of maternity clothes we bought earlier that day, my first tangible acceptance of this new life growing inside. Charles reassures me that my position at the firm is secure. Legal colleagues. Unmoved by the anonymous whispers, later, I added today's confrontation to my growing documentation file. Every message, every threat, every manipulation, carefully preserved in the cloud beyond anyone's reach. Ethan lingers in the doorway. The wedding planner called, he says. Small ceremony just as you wanted? I nod, saving the file. The sooner, the better. 3 days later, a soft knock at the door interrupts us. Charles stands there, face grave. Pastor Thompson is in the living room with your parents. My stomach tightens. An intervention. Charles nods. They're asking to see you. Grace appears behind him, finger hovering near the security button. Say the word, and I'll have them escorted out. But something has shifted inside me. The documentation, the Caldwell's steady loyalty, the cold clarity that comes from seeing my parents' manipulations exposed. It all fuses into something solid. No, I say, standing. I'll speak with them. As we descend the stairs, I feel Ethan's quiet strength behind me. Weeks ago, I would have buckled under the weight of their disapproval. Now, each step feels like reclaiming ground long stolen. Pastor Thompson rises when I enter, discomfort etched across his face. My parents flank him like bookends. Mother's eyes are red-rimmed, another performance I can now read easily. Father avoids my gaze, still scanning for leverage in Charles's posture. I take a deep breath, my hand finding Ethan's. It's time they heard my truth. I whisper, stepping forward to face the past so I can finally claim the future. I rise from the antique sofa in the Caldwell living room, where Pastor Thompson sits uncomfortably between my parents. My hands no longer tremble, 5 days here have stripped away doubt and left only clarity, sharp as a scalpel. Pastor Thompson, I begin, addressing him directly instead of acknowledging my parents. I appreciate your concern, but I need to correct several misrepresentations. My voice carries the precision I've sharpened through years in courtrooms. My parents dismissed me without ever realizing I'm engaged to Ethan Caldwell. His eyes widen, flicking between my face and my father's reddening one. The shock is genuine, the first honest emotion I've seen from them since they arrived. Furthermore, I continue, steady and composed, I'm expecting a child conceived in a devoted 5-year relationship, not from some reckless mistake as you've been told. Behind me, Grace and Charles stands in silent solidarity. Their presence feels like a shield at my back. What my parents have done, I say, opening a notepad thick with evidence, is textbook emotional manipulation. Every call, text, and post is recorded. They've contacted my firm to question my integrity, told relatives I had a breakdown. This so-called intervention isn't love. It's damage control for their reputation. Father jerks forward in his chair. We just wanted what's best for you, Amanda. Can't you see that? Mother grasps the pastor's arm, tears forming right on cue. We only needed time to process. You caught us off guard. I watch Pastor Thompson's expression shift as he reads the room, his gaze moving from Mother's hand clinging to his sleeve to Father's rigid posture. If you truly wanted what was best, I say evenly, you wouldn't have thrown me out without asking a single question about the father of my child, or my future. Father's jaw hardens. This isn't the place to air family matters. I'll be calling Daniel Hargrove at your firm Monday morning. Let's see how long they'll keep an associate with your complications. A faint smile touches Charles's lips as he steps forward. Actually, William, he says calmly, I had lunch with Daniel yesterday. He's delighted about Amanda and Ethan's engagement. The firm couldn't be more supportive. The color drains from Father's face. Mother's tears vanish, then return the instant she notices Pastor Thompson watching. Her performance has never looked so rehearsed. Pastor Thompson clears his throat. Mrs. Ellis, Mr. Ellis, you didn't mention your daughter was engaged. His voice carries a note of concern. Or that the fiancé was Ethan Caldwell. Does that matter? Father snaps. The situation is inappropriate regardless. The pastor straightens in his seat. Actually, it matters quite a bit. You presented this as a case of a young woman who'd lost her way and needed the church's guidance back to the right path. He turns to me. Miss Ellis, Amanda, I owe you an apology. The church should offer support during life's major transitions, not condemnation. Mother's fingers twist nervously in her lap. Pastor, surely you understand our position as pillars of the community. What I understand, he replies gently, is that I've been asked to take part in something very different from what I was led to believe. Charles steps forward, his demeanor calm and inviting despite the tension in the room. Pastor Thompson, may I offer you some coffee? You've had quite the drive from town. That would be lovely, thank you, the pastor says, visibly relieved by the return to civility. Grace retrieves a small envelope from the side table as Charles prepares the coffee. Perhaps you'd like to see our grandchild, she says, handing him the ultrasound photos. Healthy and perfect in every way. Pastor Thompson's weathered face softens as he studies the images. Beautiful. Truly a blessing. Ethan steps closer, his arm slipping naturally around my waist. Amanda and I have been together for 5 years, Pastor. We met our first week at Harvard and have been inseparable ever since. The baby was a surprise, he continues. But our plans to build a life together have been in motion for years. Madison, Ethan's sister, steps forward holding a small folder. We've just finished the engagement announcement for the town paper. Would you like to see it? Through this carefully orchestrated exchange, I keep my composure, not with the rigid restraint I learned in my parents' home, but with the quiet strength that comes from being surrounded by genuine love and support. Mother's eyes linger on the ultrasound photo still held by Pastor Thompson. For the first time since she arrived, something real flickers across her face, stripped of the polished performance she wears like armor. In that fleeting moment, I glimpse the grandmother she might have been, if appearances hadn't always mattered more than love. Father notices none of it. His gaze remains locked on Charles, measuring power like it's currency, and realizing he's already lost. William, Mother murmurs, touching his arm. Maybe we should listen. His head snaps toward her, betrayal flashing in his eyes. There's nothing to listen to. We're leaving, but she doesn't move. Her eyes drift back to the ultrasound. Is it a boy or a girl? She asks quietly. Father stands abruptly. Elizabeth. She flinches but stays seated. Just a moment, William. It's the first time I've ever seen her oppose him, however softly. The first fracture in their lifelong front. Father stares at her with cold disbelief, then turns and walks out alone. The front door closes behind him with a sharp, final click. Mother sits frozen, caught between the husband she's always obeyed and the grandchild she clearly longs to know. Pastor Thompson returns the ultrasound photo to Grace with a quiet nod. Perhaps, he says gently, this is a time for building bridges rather than walls. I watch my mother's expression as she realizes the narrative she and Father constructed has collapsed. Their version of events no longer holds power. The community they sought to impress will soon know the truth, not through confrontation, but through an engagement announcement and the quiet grace with which the Caldwells faced their cruelty. It's a girl, I tell her. My voice is steady, neither warm nor cold, an offering she may accept or ignore. Mother looks up, uncertainty softening her practiced composure. For the first time in my life, I don't know what she'll do next. And for the first time, it isn't mine to fix. I look down at the formal letter in my hands. William Ellis's law firm letterhead sits boldly across the top. The demand for a family meeting before my wedding makes my stomach tighten. 5 weeks ago, I stood in their dining room as they cast me out. Now, suddenly, they want to negotiate terms. Your father's lawyer called again, Charles Caldwell says from behind his mahogany desk. His tone is measured, but concern flickers behind his steady eyes. They're threatening a grandparents' rights lawsuit. I trace the embossed lettering with my fingertip. Mother's been calling every relative we have. Aunt Martha phoned me in tears yesterday, begging me to make peace before the baby comes. And now half your family is texting you, Ethan adds from his post by the window, sunlight glinting off the anger in his eyes. All with the same message. Grace enters quietly with a tray of tea, setting it down with her usual grace and precision. Her presence steadies me, so different from Elizabeth's carefully staged versions of motherhood. They've requested mediation, Charles says, his mouth tightening around the word. Before the wedding, I take the cup Grace offers and breathe in the calming scent of chamomile. 2 days until I marry Ethan in the Caldwell garden. 2 days until I officially join the family that chose me, when my own did not. They're desperate, Grace murmurs, her hand warm on my shoulder. They've lost control of the story since Pastor Thompson saw them for who they truly are. I think of the letter's threats to contest the ceremony, the thinly veiled accusations that the Caldwells stole me from my rightful family. William's lawyer even reached out to my colleagues, implying I might be emotionally unstable during pregnancy. A small voice inside me whispers that making peace would be easier, for the baby, for simplicity's sake. The ghost of the daughter I once was still aches for their approval. But as I look around the room, Charles's steady protectiveness, Grace's quiet warmth, Ethan's unwavering support, clarity washes over me like a tide. Boundaries aren't punishment, I say softly, setting my cup down. Their protection? Theirs. Charles nods, a faint smile curving his lips. What if we invite them here on our terms? A dinner, Grace suggests. We'll host. The home advantage will be ours. I straighten, my legal mind already mapping out the strategy. I'll prepare statements. They can't refute facts, only emotions. And we'll still hold the wedding, Ethan adds, moving to stand behind my chair. Regardless of what happens, my hand finds his, drawing strength from his touch. Let's do it. That evening, Grace sends a formal dinner invitation to my parents. Their response arrives within the hour they'll attend. Their eagerness only confirms their desperation. When they arrive the next evening, I watch from the library window as Charles greets them at the door. My father's Bentley looks almost small in the circular driveway of the Caldwell estate. Mother wears her church luncheon outfit, cream silk with pearl buttons. Father's suit is pressed to military precision. They look powerful until they step inside. The 14-foot ceilings and old money elegance of the Caldwell home dwarf their carefully constructed status symbols. Their expressions flicker with poorly concealed discomfort. Charles leads them to the dining room with impeccable professionalism, making polite conversation about the unseasonably warm weather. Grace welcomes them with a warmth that smooths over their initial tension. Still, I catch the calculation behind Mother's returning smile. I enter last, Ethan at my side. The baby bump is more pronounced now, impossible to ignore beneath my navy dress. Father's eyes slide away from it. Mother's linger a moment too long. William, Elizabeth. I greet them with measured neutrality. Thank you for coming. We take our seats. Grace's finest china gleams under the chandelier light. The first course arrives, carried by staff who've served the Caldwells for decades. The contrast to our family dinners, Mother insisting on serving herself to show her domestic skill, is stark. As the soup bowls are cleared, I place my napkin beside my plate and meet my father's gaze directly. I've prepared a statement about our family values, I begin, keeping my voice steady. But first, a question. Father shifts in his seat, already uneasy with my control of the conversation. When exactly did you decide to cast me out of our home? I ask, before or after you discovered who the father was. The color drains from his face. His silence tells me everything. I don't know what you mean, Mother stammers, but the lie falls flat. When Amanda told you she was engaged to Ethan Caldwell, Charles says evenly, you never even asked. You saw only a pregnant, unmarried daughter, a stain on your reputation, instead of a woman building a life with someone from one of Virginia's oldest families. Father's jaw tightens. That's not... It's exactly what happened. Grace cuts in, her voice gentle but firm. You rejected your daughter and my grandchild without knowing a single fact beyond what might embarrass you at church. We were shocked, Mother tries again. We needed time. Time for what, I ask? To spread rumors about my mental health? To contact my law firm? Or to have Pastor Thompson ambush me? Father's fingers tap against the tablecloth. This isn't over, he warns, the old menace back in his tone. We have rights. Your employment at Caldwell Energy remains secure, Charles replies, calm and precise. As long as you stay out of Amanda's life. Mother's eyes well up. I've learned not to trust the display. We have grandparent rights, she whispers. The courts, I interrupt. My legal education, now a weapon, reminds you that visitation requires an established relationship pattern. Your rejection and every subsequent action are documented. Every call, every text, every manipulation. I lean forward. I may be your daughter, but I'm also a Columbia-educated attorney. Don't threaten me with laws you don't understand. Their faces collapse, not from remorse, but from the realization that their favorite weapons have been stripped away. This dinner is over, Charles says, rising from his chair. I'll walk you out. As he leads them to the door, I watch my father's pale face and rigid shoulders. Mother glances back once, tears streaming now for the first time. Maybe they're real, but I feel no sadness, only the clean sting of closure. The Caldwells surround me as the door closes, Grace's arm around my waist, Ethan's hand in mine. The family I chose, the family that chose me. They showed me exactly what kind of parent I'll never be, I say softly, one hand resting on my belly. In 2 days, I'll marry Ethan in the garden behind us. And in 4 months, we'll welcome our daughter into a home built on love, not appearances. Some boundaries should never be crossed. Some endings make space for better beginnings. 4 months later, I stand in the Caldwell dining room, sunlight pouring through the floor-to-ceiling windows. My Columbia law degree now hangs proudly in Charles's study, his idea, not mine. The silk dress I wore that fateful night at my parents' house now stretches more noticeably over my 7-month bump. Charles raises his crystal flute, the apple cider catching the afternoon light. To our daughter and grandchild, he announces, his voice warm and steady. The faces around the table, faces I've come to treasure, turn toward me. Grace dabs at her eyes with a linen napkin. I never thought I'd be this blessed, she whispers, reaching for my hand across the polished mahogany. My phone buzzes against the table. My parents' number flashes on the screen, The third call this week. With a single swipe, I decline it. No panic, no lingering ache. Just peace. Everything okay? Ethan asks, his hand finding the small of my back. Perfect, I answer, and mean it. 4 weeks ago, we were married in the Caldwell garden. Nothing extravagant. Just roses climbing white trellises, a string quartet playing Bach, and 40 guests who truly celebrated our union. My ivory dress framed my rounded belly with pride. Ethan's gaze never left mine as we spoke our vows beneath the open Virginia sky. Later that night, I wrote in my journal, "Love doesn't have to be earned." 4 words that took me 27 years to learn. My law career began with an unexpected sense of confidence. No shadow of parental expectation follows me into client meetings or the courtroom now. Instead, I carry the calm assurance that comes from building a family founded on mutual respect, not obligation. The nursery is taking shape under Grace's gentle direction. Buttery yellow walls that catch the morning light. A rocking chair by the window. She never pushes, never presumes, only offers her thoughts as quiet suggestions I'm free to accept or ignore. My mother would have rearranged everything without asking. I told Dr. Winters that during therapy last week. Our monthly sessions have become a haven where old wounds turn into understanding. "And how does Grace's approach make you feel?" she asked. "Like I matter," I said simply. The baby shower brought tears I didn't expect. Seeing Madeline from the firm, my college roommate Sarah, and Ethan's sister Madison all gathered around me, it felt like a new kind of belonging. Chosen family replacing the toxic ties I finally released. Yesterday, a junior associate peeked into my office, twisting her hands nervously. "My father wants me to switch to corporate law," she confessed. "He says family law isn't prestigious enough." I gestured to the chair across from my desk. "Family is who stands beside you when it's hardest," I told her, sharing my story not as a victim, but as someone who survived and healed. Her eyes widened with understanding. Now, standing on the Caldwell estate porch at sunset, I watch Ethan cradle our sleeping daughter. Born 3 days ago, Lily Grace Caldwell entered the world with a fierce cry and 10 perfect fingers that wrapped instantly around my heart. "There's a letter," Ethan says softly, nodding toward the side table. My mother's handwriting stretches across the cream envelope. I open the letter carefully, reading Elizabeth's plea for reconciliation, a chance to meet her granddaughter. My reply carries no anger, no bitterness, only clarity. When you're ready to meet your granddaughter as she is, not as an extension of our family name, not as a secret to conceal, but as the beautiful gift she truly is, we'll be here. Beyond the window, the Virginia countryside unfolds in soft amber and gold, the rolling hills glowing in the fading light. I catch Charles and Grace watching us, their faces warm with quiet joy. "They taught me what family isn't," I whisper to Ethan. "The Caldwells showed me what family should be. Blood doesn't make family. Love does." Ethan presses a kiss to my forehead, our daughter sleeping peacefully between us. "Love without conditions," he murmurs. I nod, finally understanding that what I once tried to earn was something I'd always been worthy of receiving. Subscribe.